We are officially in E3 week in 2021, as this Saturday the event will be kicking off and Nintendo will be holding their E3 Direct presentation on Tuesday, June 15th to close out the events. So in today's video, we have to talk about the final rumor roundup and predictions about what we can expect when it comes to Nintendo's E3 2021 presentation. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. As I mentioned, guys, I am super hyped because this is E3 week. This is about as good as it gets for gamers because we have some of the biggest announcements of the year to look forward to from all of our favorite companies like Nintendo. Even Microsoft and Sony will have major announcements for new games that we all care about that will be releasing through the rest of 2021, and even some titles that will lead into 2022. So there's a lot of exciting information to cover. There has been a ton of different leaks and reports as we get close to E3 season, as that typically always happens. But in today's video, I do want to share with you guys quickly what I think we can really expect from Nintendo specifically at their Tuesday presentation. We do now know that it will be roughly a 40-minute event, and with that and all of the different rumors and leaks, there's a lot of different games they could cover in that time window. But if you think about how fast 40 minutes goes by, especially considering that you'll have to have some room for indie games and, some third-party developed games that, we might not get everything in this one event, but I do think we can expect a lot. And the first and most probably safe prediction on the list would be the Smash character DLC reveal, as I do think we will absolutely get the next fighter announced. Now, there's a lot of talk online. It may be Crash Bandicoot, it may be Master Chief, it could even be like a Zelda Breath of the Wild champion type of character, which I would personally love to see. But you know what, if we get Crash or we get Master Chief, I'm actually going to be happy, but I think it's going to be a big one regardless. Obviously, Crash would be major, Master Chief would be major, as those are major competitor icons. It's kind of like Mario coming to a Sony game. Like it's a big deal if that happens. So if we do get either one of those reveals, that will be huge in and of itself. I am not opposed to another Zelda character, though. I think we need more in the Smash universe. If you look at like how many Fire Emblem characters there are now, I'm surprised that Zelda doesn't have more of a space in there. Even like another Mario character like a Waluigi would be like a really cool welcome addition for me. So I think regardless of who we see announced, we absolutely will see a small portion of the event with a new character trailer, and it'll probably be done in a great fashion as it always is. Like the Sephiroth reveal up to this point is probably my favorite trailer that we saw, when we saw the sword appear to go through Mario and then it turned out it was his overall. But the level of fidelity that they give to this, as far as care and the graphical style and how they present it to us, really stands out to me. And so I'm absolutely pumped to see what the Smash universe has up around the corner when it comes to a character reveal. And then from there, I think the next game on the list that I would absolutely expect at the event, which is a big one that a lot of fans have been waiting for, is Bayonetta 3, as it has been silent for so long that I just think it is only fair to give people at least an update on where it's at with its development and what the gameplay actually looks like. As it's been, I don't know, maybe a year or 2 years or more since we've seen or heard anything from this title, and they obviously had just the initial reveal trailer like Nintendo likes to do, and it's literally gone quiet since then. So I think it's about time that we do get an update on this game, and I think we can absolutely expect to see it dropped at the event, probably in like the middle portion of the Direct presentation. I also think a very safe prediction is a new Kirby game, as we have a bunch of articles around Kirby's development, and it really, whatever this new game is really going to be the future for the Kirby series. So we're seeing that trend a lot with different favorite series such as Zelda. They went through that with Breath of the Wild. You could argue that Mario Odyssey was kind of that step forward for them. I still think they're going for an open world Mario in the next game, but that's obviously off topic here. We're talking about Kirby, but Kirby, I do think we will see some kind of hopefully 3D game. I'm really I think the 2D Kirby is going to be sticking too close to the traditional formula. So if they break out and go 3D and really have some fun with it and get really creative, because you can do so many things in the world of Kirby, I do think that that will be a safe prediction, as we have seen a lot of articles and reports suggesting that they're absolutely far into the development of the next step for the Kirby franchise, and what better stage to show that off than the Nintendo E3 Direct presentation. So So where it falls in the event will be, remains to be seen, but I do think that that's one that's a fairly safe prediction that we can expect a new Kirby title unveiled at this Nintendo E3 Direct. And then the next game on the list is ones we've seen a ton of rumors and speculation around, and it's one that I really am hoping that we do see, because it's been far too long, in my opinion, since we've had a mainline Donkey Kong game developed from a new studio, which the ongoing rumor, and it seems like it's confirmed more and more, is that this game is being developed by the Mario Odyssey team, which is a huge deal in and of itself, and it could very well be something totally different than what we would expect from a traditional Donkey Kong. That being said, there's been a lot of dialogue on whether this will be a 3D game or a 2.5D game, and it does sound like it's probably going to be 2.5D at the end of it, just because of all the different information from pretty credible leakers and insiders that have actually claimed that this is for sure a 2.5D game and not 3D. But regardless of what we get, I just hope that it has a fresh feel to it, because Tropical Freeze for me was actually one of the best current day 2D platformers in my opinion. I think it reached a pinnacle of what you can do with a 2D game in today's era. So I do hope that, it either somehow surpasses that and goes to the next level with that 2D style, or they could obviously just be tricking us and there is a full 3D experience waiting for us with Donkey Kong. But regardless, my hype level for this franchise is at an all-time high, as I do think that we will get a very nice presentation of what we can expect from Donkey Kong, and hopefully they're surprising us and it's a 2021 title. Now, one thing Nintendo did tweet out when they announced this event, obviously, is that the majority of the titles will be 2021, and then that obviously leaves them room to put 1 or 2 games in for 2022, but the vast majority of all these reveals should be coming out this year. So is Donkey Kong a 2021 game? Well, it very well could be, but we're gonna have to wait and see for E3. The last couple franchises on the list that I'm gonna predict for E3 reveals are 2 of my absolute all-time favorite gaming series. It's up there with the top of the top, and honestly, one of them is my all-time favorite gaming series. But before we get to the big final last prediction, I do want to say that I absolutely think we see Metroid appear at this event. It is most likely the 2D game, as according to Zippo's leak, which I do tend to believe most of. I don't think he's going to be right on everything, but one thing that he went out of his way to say is 100% certain and is absolutely done is a 2D Metroid project. And we do think that Mercury Steam, they're now developing something new. They had a gap of time where they obviously could have done a full 2D Metroid and it could be ready to go. So is this a remake? Is it a reboot of something? Or is this actually a brand new 2D Metroid? Well, all of that remains to be seen. I'm personally hoping that it's either something in the Metroid Fusion side of things. If it is a remake, maybe we get Metroid Fusion in a 2.5D game similar to how Samus Returns was, or maybe it's Samus Returns ported from the 3DS to the Switch with touched up visuals. As much as I do want that game to come to the Switch, because I have played through it on the 3DS, that would actually be my least favorite, version of what they could give us in a 2D Metroid game. So I hope it's not just a port of Samus Returns, even though that is a great game and gamers do need to play it if they didn't get a chance to play it on the 3DS. But I think Nintendo will probably do something different, as Metroid does not sell as well as these other huge franchises, but if you give us the best quality titles, the hardcore fans can come out of the woodworks and share word of mouth on how important those games are. And I think with the 80 million plus Switch install base, Metroid will have a better chance to be successful on the Switch than any other console that it's ever been released on. So I think we're for sure getting 2D Metroid. From there, you have to have the conversation, are we going to see anything in the 3D Metroid family? And I think the most likely, if we get anything, would be a Metroid Prime Trilogy reveal. But if you guys have watched previous videos, you know that I think Metroid Prime Trilogy only gets announced 6 to 9 months, maybe even 12 months before Metroid Prime 4. So that really depends on where Metroid Prime is in its actual development cycle. Obviously, we don't know the full details of that, and Nintendo has been very quiet with Metroid Prime 4. So I do think, as much as I hope we get, a Metroid Prime 4 trailer, I think it's less likely that we get any talk other than maybe development is going smoothly, and here is the first 3 Prime games to hold you Metroid fans over while we're finishing up the masterpiece that is Metroid Prime 4. So that's what I most likely will predict. I'm not having my hopes set to super high for a Metroid Prime 4 trailer, but I do think it's extremely likely that we at least get some kind of Prime Trilogy mention, or at least a development update of some sort, as obviously it was totally scrapped and reworked from the grounds up from Retro Studios. So all the Metroid fans out there, I think, will still be happy with what we see from Nintendo, but I think we might be, either a fall or a spring direct to be actually seeing a Metroid Prime 4 gameplay trailer, as I do think that's a later 2022 game, just according to all the different development reports out there, and the fact that Retro is still hiring positions for that game. So there's a lot of info that points to it being down the road, but my maximum hope and prediction for E3 is that we get for sure the 2D Metroid game, and we get at least a mention of Metroid Prime Trilogy coming to the Switch. And then when you talk about my all-time favorite gaming series, which is the Legend of Zelda series, I'm expecting a lot of news from this event. We obviously know a certain portion of it will be probably covering Skyward Sword HD, as this, is obviously launching about a month after this takes place, because on July 12th, we will have that game on retail shelves, and Nintendo will probably do a lot of focus on that around the Treehouse presentation, that we know that they're going to have 3 hours of gameplay after their actual 40-minute E3 presentation around the Treehouse gameplay, and I think that's where we see a lot of Skyward Sword HD. But they may do something like a what's new trailer for Skyward Sword HD, because I know a lot of fans are very, divided on this one, because they don't feel like it's a fair value that Nintendo is charging a $60 price for a Wii remaster. I personally do think it's fair, just for the simple fact that they could have left that thing on the Wii and said it's too hard to, remap those motion controls and not really give it a shot to sell on the Switch at all, and they obviously chose to do that. So I'm just grateful we're getting the game at the end of the day, but they may surprise us and do some kind of trailer that's actually like, here's the new gameplay changes, here's the new enhancements, or here's a new area that you didn't expect. We did see those type of trailers happen for both the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD when they got re-released on the Wii U. So I do think it's likely that there's still some gameplay changes that we don't know about yet, and hopefully we do see that at this event. But then from there, the big question with Zelda at this event is, besides the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer that I do think we will see there, I think that's actually going to be the show closer, which is my final prediction, but we have to have a quick conversation of if we will see Zelda's 35th anniversary actually acknowledged and even partially celebrated at this E3 Direct. And it does appear, according to the latest rumors and leaks, that it may not happen at this event. We may get like an acknowledgement that it's Zelda's 35th anniversary and that a planned event is coming specifically for that. And if you've paid attention to all of the big games that we've talked about so far, if that does come true and Nintendo's really announcing all these games at this Direct, it does stand to reason that they may not focus on the Zelda 35th anniversary titles. As, I mean, you could say Breath of the Wild 2 is kind of part of that, but I think it's kind of separate from that. I feel like the 35th anniversary is more about celebrating the classics, and the heavily rumored ones, the ones that I think we absolutely will see announced, but it may not take place at E3, is the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD ports, as those are simple, ready to go. And we even saw Andy Robinson from VGC, who is a gaming journalist, tweet out after the release of Skyward Sword HD that he said, see you in a couple of months, and that we absolutely will get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD in 2021 on the Switch. So whether that's in a separate fall direct, focusing more on Zelda's 35th anniversary, or whether or not that's part of E3 is kind of up in the air. But I'm as time has gone on, I've kind of more shifted my opinion to think that Nintendo will probably be holding a separate, dedicated Zelda 35 Direct, and I do think it deserves that, because if we're getting Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD, and then we still have to talk about the Grezzo title, whether that be a new 2D game or something that's already done, like a port of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask from the 3DS version to the Switch, that's going to be a lot of time in and of itself, and I think it's more something like Nintendo would do a separate 20-minute or so direct celebration, and then they can also go over all the Zelda merch and limited run stuff that they're going to do for the Zelda 35th anniversary. So I do still think it's coming, but I think it's less likely to see it at E3, so my hopes are really to see at least Breath of the Wild 2 information, and not so much all of the pending Zelda Switch ports that we will obviously see come to fruition at some point in time. Then, of course, to finish out the video and to talk about the final prediction, it is my prediction that Nintendo will close the show with Breath of the Wild 2 with a gameplay trailer and a release date at the end of that trailer. And it might only be a release window, but I think we get the date personally. I think it's either a end of 2021 game, could be a November, the beginning of November, end of October. you know, that could very well still happen. There's a lot of information pointing to it being a 2022 game, so I'm kind of setting my expectations for that. I'm setting my expectations for March of 2022, but we don't know that to be the case, and we could absolutely see Nintendo surprise drop this thing and have it ready to go in 2021 for their holiday system seller. And then you have to have the conversation of, if it does come out in 2021, I think we see it alongside the Switch Pro, and it will hopefully have some kind of bundle or special edition Switch Pro revision for the Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, which would be absolutely phenomenal. But then of course it's going to be Scalper City out there trying to find one of those things. So all of this is just, you know, really speculation at this point. Obviously we don't know what to expect around the Switch Pro and around Zelda Breath of the Wild 2's release date, but we're not far away, guys. We're less than a week. So with all of these predictions, I'm extremely hyped. At this point in the video, I want to ask you guys your opinions on really what you're expecting from Nintendo's E3 Direct presentation. Do you think this is going to be a massive blowout event with a bunch of these games announced like I mentioned in this video, or do you think it'll be, you know, kind of like a good event, but there's going to be a lot of filler in the middle and we're not going to get all of these major announcements? So please share your thoughts around that with me in the comments down below, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all. And then also, before you leave the video, hop over to the channel in the community tab and cast your vote on the poll, where I will be asking you what games you are most excited for and which ones you are most expecting to be announced at E3 2021. As guys, it's coming on Tuesday, June 15th, so it's time to get excited. It's right around the corner, so please share all that stuff with me before you do leave the video, and thanks for watching till the end. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. At this point in the video, I do want to invite you guys one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.